Hey guys, we take here at Blueberry Hills. Thanks for coming back. This is October 23rd. So October was a funny month for me. I had a lot of work to do, like real work, making a few dollars here and there. So I didn't do as much work on the house as I wanted to. I probably put about a week in out of 4 weeks. So not the greatest progress on the house, but nevertheless, you got to make money to pay the bills for making a house. So there you go. Anyway, Angie and I, here we are. We're using the jib boom to hoist a bunch of C-channels up on the master bedroom area, which will become a deck. We're doing this so we can build a structure that will house the AC ducting and the actual floor for the deck that's going to be up there. We have roughly 9 inches to play with, pretty much 9 inches, and we have to do all the ducting within that area. And I'm going to you'll see that in a minute, but we're making a very wide, almost a 2-foot wide area so we can build custom ducting to run through this section of the house. This was the only, I guess I'd call it a compromise area for the AC, but nevertheless, here we see the jib boom making very good work of all this stuff. It finally, it's been paying off pretty good. It's an easy button. As long as we kept safe, we didn't want to hit the windows on that side of the house, etc. So we just took our time. A couple, 3 hours later, we had all the stuff up there, and you'll see in a minute what that looks like and how the grid's coming up. Apologize for the angle of the camera. I thought I had it set right, and we didn't get a whole lot of shots here. So Angie was working up top, running up and down the stairs, and I was working the tractor with the jib boom itself. But anyway, you get the idea, hopefully. And we hoisted, I think, probably about 30 pieces up there, and you'll see what we do with them in a second here. So here's the beginning of the grid floor thing I'm laying out. This is the beginning of it. This kind of makes the floor level. The containers themselves have a dome to them, right? So, and they're dented up a little bit. So this kind of makes everything nice and flat. I'm using a level to make sure I have a slight grade so the water runs off to left and right of the containers and doesn't sit in the middle. That's going to be, I'm not even sure what the degrees are, but the levels showing the bubble on the one side, so it's all good for me. Anyway, I'm cutting them up, making them fairly even. I'm doing a 13.5-inch overhang from the container edge, and that's perfect for the soffits that we have from the free building. They actually will bolt right into that or screw right into that. We'll show you that later, of course. But anyway, I'm doing this, welding everything up. I initially start with arc welding, stick welding, and then I actually got the MIG out because it was a cleaner job. When there's a little bit too much void for the stick welding, I'm not that good at it, but so the MIG lets me do all that stuff. Here I am. I did the one side. You can see it pretty much done on the right. Now I'm doing the left side. I'm not going to bore you with every part I'm doing, but I'm cutting everything up. On the left, it's shorter because I'm using that 2-foot void in the middle that'll run all the AC lines. It'll make more sense once we put the joists in. It'll be about an 8-inch area for about 20-inch, 22-inch by 7-inch, 8-inch duct work that runs through this whole area and then shoots out to the proper places in the rooms. And there's five actually outputs, and one that's the inlet to the AC, and you'll see that later on. Anyway, I'm making all these about the same. Then I'm going to line them up and start welding them up. And I did run out of welding wire. The MIG, I knew that was going to happen. It always does. So I finished the day with just doing arc welding, stick welding, just to kind of shoehorn everything in place. And then Monday I'll get some more gas and get some more steel and finalize the welds. But anyway, you get the idea of the structure, hopefully. So here I'm doing more of the Coro Seal. I like using that stuff. It actually works extremely well. The stuff that I've actually put on a good amount of this stuff, it has not resurfaced rust for over a year and a half. I'm pretty impressed with it. This is going to be covered and sort of sealed. It's not going to be airtight, but it's going to be sealed from the elements, so this shouldn't see any real moisture.
Hey guys, VTech here, Blueberry Hill. So here we are. This is October 5th, and whew, a little sweaty up here, but you just saw me doing the a little rust proofing stuff. Actually, it's a rust converter inhibitor. You just basically paint it on anything that's rusty. It neutralizes the rust, and it becomes kind of like paint or primer, and it's ready to roll. It's good stuff. I've been using it on all the containers. If you saw some videos in the early stages of this thing, I sprayed a lot of the inhibitor underneath and on outside of the containers. So we're doing kind of a leveling of the floors, if you will, on top of the master bedroom. This is what I would call a subfloor. It should be plenty of structure. We're going to weld all this tomorrow to the containers, and on top of this is going to be 2x6 rafters, and then plywood on top, and then a man-made deck board, that plastic wood stuff. We were doing some kind of concrete surface out here, but that'd be a lot more expensive and actually a kind of a mess. We'd have to get a pump truck, which is roughly, what is it, about $1,000 a day, maybe 800 for the smaller pump, but whatever, we would have to get that, and then at least a truck, probably truck and a half of concrete, so that's about two and a half grand right there. It'll cost us that much for the decking, but we can do the decking at our leisure and not worry about it. We're also going to use TPO, which is a membrane, kind of a plastic, I forget what the product is, but it's some poly something. And we're going to use the glue kind. We're going to put the, it kind of has to coordinate with the HVAC stuff. So I'll show you later. In the middle of the master bedroom, we're leaving a void 2 feet wide by roughly 8 inches tall, so they can make the manifolds in there. And AC ducts are going to run from there to the outside between these rafters that I just did. I'll call them rafters, they're not really rafters, but the leveling beams, I'll call it that. Anyway, so right down the middle is going to be the main leg of the AC, and then roughly 5 outputs, 2 in the bedroom, 1 in the bath, 1 in the hall, and 1 in the closet. And then we're going to have a return right, it's roughly 8 feet away from the door in the hallway. We'll see how that works out, because I have to do, there'll be 2 ducting bulkheads. I'll show you that, of course. 2 bulkheads right there, and we're going to somehow coordinate the return and the feed lines in there. So a bit of a compromise on that, but we'll make it work. Anyway, continuing, moving on. This is the next big phase I got to do. You can see that they're all different lengths. I'm going to cut those off. We're doing basically a 13.5 inch overhang, which is exactly how wide we have some soffits from the free building we got. So we're going to do the soffits underneath there. They are 13.25. We'll fudge it a little bit, and then we're going to have 6-inch fascia on that. And of course, the guys are going to come back and do the metal siding on the house. So everything should jive there. We should cover up the seam, etc. So we should be good to go there. Anyway, it's a fairly large deck. It's going to be almost 18 feet wide by 32 feet long. Actually, add another foot to that because it's 13.5 overhang. So it's 33 by 18 feet. So it's pretty large. It's going to cost a little bit of money, and then I got to weld some railing on here. Of course, we'll figure that out, and that'll be another good little project. I'll have to do that before we do the final decking stuff, so I can weld and not worry about burning nothing. But minor junk, it's all good. I don't mind welding, so it should be all fun, and we'll see how it works out. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you later.
So earlier you saw me doing the deck layout and cutting all the pieces. Now I start welding everything up. I kind of wanted to hit everything together because hauling up the welder on the upper floor, etc. is fun. Anyway, I started with the stick welding. I didn't like how it was going. I was actually burning through some of the stuff. It's hard to tell when that's going to happen for me. I can do horizontal pretty good, if there's not a big gap. But anyway, it was messy, a little sparky. Here you see I got the tank. Now I'm switching over to MIG, and that turned out to be a lot faster and easier, and very nice welds. I've been doing that a while, but stick-wise, yeah, not so much. Horizontal, vertical rather, I can't really do with the stick welding very good, so I went to the MIG for that, and that allows me to do fairly nice welds on the whole thing. Anyway, the right side's pretty much done. I'm grinding away on all the pieces and tacking everything together, welding it up solid, and moving on. And on the left side, that's ready to roll once I get to it. So you can see I'm putting a 2" by 1/8" inch kind of sheet, what I call it, sheet steel right there. I'm welding that up to the actual roof of the container, and that's making the whole grid really solid. So that's my up and down kind of support. Also, I'm welding everything on the outside of the containers to the C-channels, so it's pretty solid. That right side, walking on it, feels really, really good. Of course, I got to still do the left side, and that's going to happen on the following day. So you might notice there's different widths on these C-channels. I didn't really care. They're basically just for structure. The joists are going to sit on top of these guys, so it's not anything that I have to worry about too much on center. In fact, I could probably do without half of these up there. I just wanted them on there just to make sure the deck is 100% solid, and if we have 20 people up there, it's not going to pose a problem. But anyway, everything's welded. You'll see in the middle, you'll see the 2" by 1/8 inch supporting the right side of the grid thing. Now I'm welding up the left side. I ran out of MIG wire in a minute here. I'm going to do like a couple of welds, and then you're going to see the tank disappear. I'm going to switch the stick and continue tack welding everything together, and I'll come back the next day to finish weld everything. So after I ran out of MIG wire, I was trying to figure out what to do. I started trimming the one side of the containers, 13.5" inch overhang. That's perfect for the soffit that we have. Just by hand, no big deal. You see that big one that's kicking out? I actually go get a ladder. That's a window's right underneath that one. I didn't want to just cut it and have it swing into the window, so I got the ladder. So if you can see the top parts of the legs right there under my arms. So if it swung, it wouldn't hit the window, and that worked out really well. The rest of them are just they fall down gravity-wise, nothing to hit or break. So everything worked out pretty good. It's all trimmed. It looks pretty good to me. I like that overhang. It'll kick out another inch because we're going to put 1x6 out there as well for trim. But anyway, here you see me doing on the left side. Switch over to the stick welding. I'm just tacking stuff in, and then I'm going to, you'll see me playing over at the level because I wanted to have the water run off left and right and to the back a little bit. So it's not a flat deck. It's got a probably like a 1.5 degree angle to it. You can't really make that out in the video, but you'll see me jumping on this thing a little bit, trying to make sure I get the right height. I used cutoffs that we had from some 2x to support the height, and then everything gets welded to the top of the containers. It'll be extremely strong, I'm sure. And then the joists go on top of that. So anyway, that's my solution. A couple hours of welding here and there. I actually enjoy doing the arc welding, the stick welding, but in certain areas these things aren't very thick metal, so it's easy to burn through it. I'm using a 5/32 rod, a little bit overkill for these type of metal. That's usually good for thicker metal, but anyway, that's what I had, that's what I used. So continued on, made everything, kind of stuck it all together, and I was done for the day. And we'll come back the following day and finish weld everything. And then we'll start doing the what I'm going to call bulkheads from the game room that go into the attic above the game room, so we could do piping for the AC, and you'll definitely see that. That's I don't know, I'll call it an architectural detail. It's got to be thick enough for the piping. Since I didn't post too much in the last month, I decided to go ahead and post this video. So this will be the end of this video, and more to come, of course, with the bulkhead and the more of the joists and the decking construction, and then of course the soffit, etc. But anyway, thanks for watching. We'll catch you later. Appreciate it. Hit subscribe. Later. So I went down to the Hoffman store where the welding supplies, got some gas and some welding wire, and off I went to finish up the welding on the C-channels. Got that done pretty quickly, and then I started working on the trying to figure out how to do the bulkheads and stuff. You'll see that in a little bit, but all this is just a finish welding up. The MIG for me was doing much better job filling certain voids and stuff rather than the stick. Although I can do a horizontal stick pretty good, still the vertical stuff's a bit of a challenge, and accessing some of the items was a bit of a pain. So the MIG was the way to go. I used up all the gas on in the tank. and of course now I have two bundles of wire, so I'm not going to run out anytime soon. But this is the last bit of welding. I do redesign a little bit where the bulkheads go, so I'm going to add some steel the following day, and figure out how the bulkheads are going to be supplying the AC ducting. So here I am installing the very first edge 2x6. I needed to do this just because I'm going to add one of the bulkheads to the right side of the window. I knew that was going there, and then I had to redo some of the steel supports just because I could underneath the door. You'll see me do that in a minute. So here I pre-drilled some holes, and now I'm screwing the 2x6 to the very outside edge of the C-channels, and on the outside of that will be metal wrap or decking material. We haven't decided quite yet. So here I'm going to redo the way the bulkheads. I decided to do the bulkheads in between the door and the window. So left side, right side of the window is where the AC ducting is going, and I had to, because I made that decision, I had to adjust some of the steel structure for the supports for the deck, and that was a good thing to do, because now coming out the door you have more support. Don't have to worry about running an extra 8 foot of ducting to good from the left side of the door all the way to the middle of the containers. So that's done. Now I'm going to start doing the finish. Well, I finish weld, and then I start doing the box and the support for the bulkheads. It was getting late, so you'll see me start doing the center bulkhead, right, left side of the window, and then the next day I come back and do the right side.
Hey guys, November 12th here. So I'm continuing the decking on the master bedroom double wide, basically making room for the AC ducting. So it's not as easy as a typical setup would be, just because I have to worry about that. But I redid my thoughts a little bit, and now I had the bulkhead, 2 bulkheads, one on each side of the sliding glass door. I redid this today. I took one of them side out. The middle side between the window and the door, that's going to be the supply AC ducting, in a bulkhead out here. It's going to be roughly 2 feet out, 2 feet wide, about this far out, and another similar one on the right side of that window, and that's going to be the return air going up to the air handler, which is going to be right over here, somewhere over here. Anyway, it should be pretty straightforward. It's a little windy. I'm trying to get all the way up to the roof, so I don't want to do the one that's on the overhang. But I'm going to do the one, I'm going to start doing the bulkhead here in a minute to do the supply version, and that'll let me exercise myself for the other one, and hopefully Angie will be here tomorrow and she can help me out with it. Don't like being on the edge. We're going to probably build it on the side and then leave it up there, so we don't have to build anything in the air, and we'll see how that goes. Anyway, back to time lapse, and we'll talk at you later.
Here I am building the structure for the bulkheads. Simple 2x4. These are 14 feet long, so we wouldn't have to do any joints. And then I got some 1/2-inch zip sheeting. Everything's kind of dimensioned, so I don't have to use too many panels. This was all one panel structure. It's 1/2-inch zip. It's red for whatever reason. The other stuff we used was green, but it is what it is. When I test fit these up, I had to adjust, cut out basically 3/4 of an inch, because the zip sheeting on the attic protrudes past the container. Not a big deal, but just something I had to cut. And then I used metal fasteners, brackets that I screwed to the container and to the sides here to hold it in place. And then I do 2x4 supports. You'll see that in a second. I'm a little off camera here, but I'm test fitting, and then I have to take it down, cut it, and then put it back up. So you see me putting on the structure, the brackets that are going to hold the walls up to this bottom of the container. On the top is going to be wood, so I can nail into the attic structure and support it quite nicely. By the time it was all said and done, when all the pieces were in place, it was extremely solid, so nothing to worry about. And this here is just the inlet side for the AC units. Here I'm cutting the little offset, about 3/4 of an inch. That'll let the wall space out from the zip up top and against the wall on the container itself. So here I'm putting it in place. This is its final resting position. I start screwing it down, and this is all fun and games here with the ladder. Not a big deal. I wasn't looking forward to the one on the right by the window, because that's going to require me going up a ladder, roughly 12 feet up, and the container's already 14-15 feet up in the air. So anyway, once you get past the fear fright, everything's easy. So now I'm working on the supports that go on the front, so I can do the panels on the outside of the bulkhead. You can see the light going down. It's around, I guess, 5:30 or something, or getting close to anyway. So
well, that was fun, wasn't it? Anyway, a little harder than I thought. I was going to build it on the ground, but it's too heavy for me to prop it up after that. So I did it in phases. You can see the 2x that I got there, 14 feet, Home Depot special. I couldn't find a straight board to save my life, so you can see that they're a little tweaked, but I'll be straightening them out. I'll put some bracing in there if I have to, especially at the top, which is where the twists are. And that is where the AC inlet or input to the house is going. That should be plenty big from what James was saying. And then the return I'll do tomorrow. Hopefully with Angie here, we'll do the exact same thing. Not looking forward to hanging out over that, but I might brace that up a little better and might actually put some planking down or something. I don't know. But anyway, it's not going to be sitting on the ground like that. It's going to be sitting on that, and one's going to go across. There's going to be support there, so it'll sit on the corners more than just flat on the floor like this one, or on the roof. But anyway, there it is, and the big hole's going in there. The air handler is kind of like right here, almost in the middle of the containers, and that'll let us do the input-output just fine. The return, we'll offset it a little bit into the middle of the room-ish, and work from there. So anyway, I think I reduced the amount of money I have to spend on what I had planned earlier, so I think it's a win. We're gonna find out. Anyway, stay tuned. We'll talk at you later.